You are listening to the audiobook Veilshatter, Legends of Elyndar, now available on Amazon, Audible, and wherever books are sold. Featuring our three unforgettable heroes, an epic adventure begins.
Memory unraveled. In the hush that followed, a trembling silence poured itself into every crack of Liora's body. The world pressed close, frayed, burned, altered by what she'd seen. Her pulse galloped shakily, jarring alongside Sen's grip, but she hardly noticed the steadying pressure. The exhaustion that followed soul-weaving, the genuine, marrow-deep cost of it, was nothing like the weariness of sleepless nights or running steep alleys. It was a stripping of self, sharp and cold as winter glass. Already she felt chains of memory loosening inside her, threads unspooling in patterns she dared not untangle. She clung to the birch board, barely aware of how her knuckles whitened, each rune-blurred groove a reminder of what she had risked. For a time she could only breathe, drawing in flecks of cold air that tasted of scorched spirit oil and salt. The scent was wrong, edged sharp by fear and loss, and she almost retched. Sen's breath rasped beside her, equal parts relief and accusation, and the bridge song's uneasy resumption seemed distant, as if all of Avestra had receded behind a river of glass. Yet the chilling aftertaste of the vision, of all those lost, 1,000 voices howling for shape, for memory, for someone to mourn them, was not so easily shaken. The city's entire foundation trembled inside her, and she found herself shivering in sync with stones 3 centuries old. There was blood on her palm, a thin red line from some careless moment, marking her as surely as any rune could. Her magic always left scars. Here, the wound was mundane, yet loaded with meaning. Cost. Soul-weaving always asked more than she believed she possessed. Let go, Sen had pleaded. She wondered, distantly, if she still could. She tried to recall the feel of her own skin, her own body, the weight of simple, living flesh. Instead, 1,000 borrowed aches crowded her mind, and the world blurred at the edges, as if all the colors and sounds woven into morning had been leached by the remembered night. The Night of Mawing Mirrors. Not a tale, not a warning whispered in shadowed dormitories, but the lived thing, the groan of mirrors swallowing city streets, the young and old ensnared together in a brilliance that devoured all memory. Liora's body tensed, as if she could shield herself again from that ancient cindery maw. She stood, swaying, unwilling to yield to the ground's pull. The city's sounds seemed to come from far underwater, bells warping, feet shuffling, the half-familiar murmur of the scholar's ward returning to its labors and losses. Above, drifting between sky and spire, verilion birds traced iridescent spirals, mocking the dawnlight's false promise. Liora felt undone, longing both for the comfort of solitude and the weight of a hand on hers, living, steady. Her mind tried to close itself tight around her mother's last decent smile, the memory already eroding beneath the onslaught from the veil. But there were too many other voices now inside her head, and not all of them wished her well. She reached again, not for her power, exhausted as it was, more than spent, but for breath, for the cool press of ancient stones, for the world solid now. A memory echo brushed against her spine, chill, sly, wrong. She turned, but nothing waited there. Just a serpentine rune strip, still cooling from the rune mender's frantic scribing, its letters pulsing with the ache of battered wards. There was comfort in the visual pattern, the familiar ticks and swirls older than creed or council. Still, she staggered. Sen's shadow flickered alongside hers, larger now, as if the city's fractured magic had lent him borrowed size. For a moment, he looked twice as old, the fierce length of his scars deepened by pain and worry. He didn't speak. Not yet. Perhaps he intuited that any word would break the hold she had left on her own mind. Her skin itched where the veil had grazed her, every fine hair standing upright and quivering. In her chest, the ache of unspent grief mingled with newer wounds, anguish caught between memory and hope. She tried to meditate, to compose her thoughts as her master had once taught. Find the breath. Anchor your heart to the world that is real. Name the things that are yours. But the litany unraveled at once. Whenever her mind's eye closed, new ghosts crowded in. A child's lost cradle tune, a crushed flower beneath mirrored glass, the scream of a spirit bridge snapping free of its anchors. No, she would not flee inward, not now. She pressed her hand to a rune-scored wall, the stones cool and unwavering. Maybe that would steady her, maybe not. Instead, power crackled beneath her, restless and insistent. Hunger, she recognized, her soul weaving, untamed, searching for new roots in a city stripped of protections. It wanted to work, to reach, to tear away the old silences and make her see what must not be seen. No, she whispered, but the denial was feeble, and the cost already paid. Vision bloomed. The world emptied itself of color, then refilled it with impossible brilliance, every surface shimmering with the residue of histories unspoken. Walls peeled away in liquid folds, revealing the breathless heart of Avestra. Not the city built by hands in craft and the rune senate's measured laws, but the city carried in aching spirits, in memory and love and suffering, all its unburied longing. Ghosts streamed past her, silent and blind, overlapping in a slow cathedral dance. Pain lanced through Liora's head. She wanted to scream, but her jaws locked. Instead, the cacophony of echoes surged, a cascade from thousands of yesterdays, their suffering urgent, their questions sharp and salt-edged. A musician crushed beneath wailing glass, a rune mender's last plea inked on torn parchment. Even fragments of the city's greenest days, a child's laughter caught on the wind. She was them and herself, their desires tangled, her sorrows not unique, but mirrored and joined, a chorus that pulled her heart apart by its fragile seams. She saw the Night of Mawing Mirrors again, not in snatches, but in full. The sick shine of corrupted word-binding, the mirrors shimmering up from cobblestones and spiral stairs, their edges opening like mouths to drink the living whole. No screams, only silence. The city's breath cut all at once. Liora reeled, almost falling. Her knees buckled as she soaked in the agony, her spine arched. The birchboard slipped from her trembling fingers, clattering to the ground. Magic throbbed, hot, then icy, threading in sharp lines beneath her skin. She felt herself thinning, dissolving, another echo to join the hungry hosts. Stop! You are alive. You are Liora. But voice and thought were smoke in the veil. For a heartbeat, she was everyone. A mother torn from her child, a counselor crushed by regret, a novice whose first apprentice rune shattered the day the mirrors woke hungry. Every loss tasted of rain and glass, her own longing, sharp as rope drawn taut, bitter as green apricots, wrestled for dominion. Her mother's touch, her laughter beneath festival awnings, the old green wine they'd drunk together. Had any of it been real, or had it only ever been borrowed from the city's greater pain? Through the storm of memory, Liora saw a corridor of glass and shadow opening before her, unmoored, unbound by day or reason. 1,000 veiled figures pressed behind it, their faces warping in the mirrored light. At their heart, blurred but inexorable, waited the veil-born, shadowed lord, his formless gaze pinning her across centuries. No threat, not yet, only patience sharpened into hunger, as though he watched for her to drop some hidden key. This is not your sorrow alone, the city's dead seemed to whisper. The wound is old, but it is open now, and naming it costs more than memory. She gasped awake, jolted, soul on fire. Pain seared her limbs, radiating up from her knuckles into her temples. The nearest rune circle, etched to focus soul energies, flickered, sucking her own essence greedily as it drew a boundary like a tourniquet. The aftermath left her trembling, throat seized, the world too bright and easily ruptured. Sen knelt at her side, a hand gentle now. He was saying something, but the words hovered out of reach, a language she had not yet relearned from all the borrowed ghosts. Breathe, survive, reclaim your name. The effort felt mountainous. She willed her soul inward, pulling everything scattered and ragged back into her own battered shape. The tactile present bled back, stone grit under her palms, the metallic tang in the air, the half-blind horror in Sen's eyes. "There you are," he told her softly. "Come back, girl. Don't let him keep you." His thumb brushed a stray lock from her brow, the gesture awkward, rough, profoundly kind. It grounded her. "I am Liora, daughter of Mirun." Not yet undone. She hunched over, arms wrapping fierce around herself. Her magic guttered, exhausted, refusing to flare, a hollow ache where power used to flow. That was good, for now she was safe from herself, if not from the world beyond. But everywhere, after images lingered, patches of frost on her skin, the lightning-wrought ache of grief not fully owned. From beyond the arches, wind mourned the bridges, tiny memory motes, fleshless, glittering, spiraled past her eyes and vanished. Each one a person, a choice, sorrow that had not faded. She forced herself upright, Sen steadying her. "They're coming. Council, menders, whoever dares ask questions." He looked not at her, but toward the deepest ward halls, as if the laws of the living city could not save them. "If you say what you saw, they'll want you bound. Or worse." She nodded, silent. None of this had been a choice. The breach had called to something ragged and true in her, a hunger born of loss and sharpened by exile. If the Veilborn watched her now, she would not opt for quiet erasure. The city's wound was her own. She started walking, each step balanced between hope and despair. Crossing the last of the bridge, she imagined herself carrying a fraction of Avestra's pain, bearer for a secret no rune senate wanted spoken, harbinger of changes no soul yet could name. The echoes still called, promising ruin or revelation. She would answer, not for the dead, not alone, but as herself, battered and uncertain, beneath bells whose song could not drown memory's unbroken tide. And beneath it all, the shadow of the Veilborn waited, watching, patient, hungry. The lines between worlds would thin again before the next dawn, and Liora's part in the coming reckoning had already been carved into the very stones she walked on.